Hi, welcome to the module on business model. So far, you have an idea, right? You know what problem you're solving for your customer. You know exactly who your customer is. You know their pain points. You know the value proposition. What is that specific solution or value that you generate for your customers? And now we're getting into how you're going to generate revenue for you from your customers. What is this price they're going to pay and how often? Right? Recurrence is something that is part of business model. Now, business model is a simple understanding of, these are my costs. This is the potential profit that I'm going to get. And this is how I'm going to sustain my business. Right? Let's get into the case study right away to understand this better. Great. So we're starting with the Blinkit case study, which was earlier called Grofers. The service that they had was quite similar, but let's look at how the business model changed from Grofers to Blinkit. So it started in 2013. Albinder Dhinsa and Saurabh Kumar started Grofers. And they started with a simple problem, groceries at your doorstep. So the initial value proposition was, unlike going to multiple stores and carrying heavy bags, Grofers will deliver grocery at your doorstep. This was targeted towards busy families, working professionals, anyone who wanted to avoid traffic or park or do some heavy lifting. And price promise was same as what you get in the store, and sometimes even cheaper. So value proposition was great. Why should customers choose Grofer? Answer was convenience of home delivery with traditional grocery pricing, right? So they had good numbers going for them. 78% rating in customer satisfaction. Repeat usage was 60%. That's a great number. Market validation, there was a clear demand and they wanted to expand to multiple cities, and they did also. But here is the problem. The business model was disastrous. There was the revenue model that they said was from delivery fees, which was about 25 to 50 rupees per order. And on markup on products, which is like the standard markup that any grocery shop would get, is 8 to 12%, right? But if you look at their cost structure, they had inventory costs like purchasing and storing thousands of SKUs, warehouse operations, there was staff, delivery logistics, managing the delivery fleet. There was technology, obviously, the app maintenance, app development, and customer acquisition, which was the marketing, which is quite a sizable cost. Now, if you detail out the numbers, the maths didn't work out, and they were basically losing about 30 rupees to 70 rupees per order. Unit economics weren't good. So unit economics is how much do you make on every unit that you sell, which in this case, the delivery, how per delivery, how much do you make, right? There was a scale problem, which is, say, more customers equal to more losses, because if your business model fundamentally is wrong on the pricing side, more customers you acquire, more money you're going to lose. So low margins were there. It was a very capital intensive business. So the brutal truth, customers loved it. There was the business sustainability was impossible because they were losing money on every order. In competitive reality was that Amazon or Flipkart are going to get into this business. They have deeper pockets than Grofers at that time. And funding environment would be that investors would say, okay, when are you going to be profitable? Which didn't look possible, right? So the business model could not answer questions like how do you make money, how do you compete, what will be when will the unit economics turn positive, when will you start making money or profitability on every order, and then simply what happens if the funding dries up, because they were sustaining on heavy funding. So the problem here you can clearly see is not the value proposition. The value proposition is very clear. You are getting delivery, you're getting groceries delivered to your house, and that's what everybody would want. If you're getting it at the same rate as the shop nearby, what is the problem? The delivery time was about 2 to 4 hours. Logistics were expensive. In today's time, the quick commerce is delivering in about 10 to 15 minutes, but they do it at a premium price. So you can see that pricing is higher than what you get at the stores in certain cases. So the business model transformation was required. So the new value proposition in this case was that unlike grocery stores that require planning and travel, Blinkit delivers essentials to your door in 10 minutes. You remember the case study on Domino's? So they made a promise that we will deliver hot pizza in under 30 minutes. And that changed a lot of their business in terms of logistics, in terms of how they prepared their products. All of that kind of fell into place once they decided on their new value proposition. Now, to support this value prop, what was the business model that they chose? They said they're going to charge premium pricing, 15 to 25% markup, because they're going to deliver in 10 minutes. They're going to charge a delivery fee, which will be at least 25 rupees. And they are aiming at high frequency in terms of they're aiming for higher recurrence, right? So they're expecting more orders per customer monthly. And the cost structure in terms of optimization, how did they optimize this? More dark stores, limited SKUs. So Grofers had about 20,000 SKUs. SKUs are every item or the stock items that you have. And they would choose shorter routes, which are 2 to 3 kilometers in radius, and higher density, more orders per square kilometer. So they would choose areas with higher density population so that the order recurrence, remember this word, the recurrence is high. So value delivery is 10 minutes, and convenience premium. So they started charging for the convenience they offered, right? And with the convenience they offered, the frequency expected was higher. So the business model, the financial transformation, unit economics turned positive. Average order value from 450 came down to 350, but the recurrence went up. So 8 to 12 orders per month versus 2 to 3. And gross margin here was 18 to 20% versus 8 to 12% in old model. Now, the connected dots, customers, time pressured urban consumers needing instant gratification. Channels. Now, instead of, they looked for lower rents and larger spaces. So, hyper local dark stores. These are called dark stores because people don't go there. They act like warehouses. Optimized for speed and density and not selection. Revenue premium pricing justified by convenience. So this was their new business model. In market validation, obviously, we all know it got acquired by Zomato, became a template for quick commerce globally. Competitors like Zepto, Swiggy, Instamart are running on the same model now. So, value proposition persistence versus business model flexibility. Core customer need was grocery convenience. That remained the same. But business model needed complete transformation. So, they needed to realign the pricing and think about the business model in a different way. Right? So, new model was instant gratification for essentials. Right? So instead of focusing on 20,000 SKUs, focus on 2,000, which have high recurrence, and the need is instant. So, and I think that was the most brilliant observation or the transformation that happened in this model. The golden framework value proposition is, what are you going to do? Like, do customers want a grocery delivery? That was validated. Is convenience valuable? That was validated. Will they pay for it? That needed refinement. How much would they pay? And how frequently would they pay? Business model questions: can we deliver profitability at those prices? That was the old model. That if I pick up the same product at the same price from a supermarket, is that profitable? Do our costs align with our revenue, which was the old model thinking? And can we restructure to make it work? Was the new model thinking. Right. So sometimes the value proposition is perfect, but the business model environment you need to check in terms of, see, we all start businesses to make a profit. While we're solving a problem, we also want to sustain and make a profit. So your business model thinking helps you in that direction. Right. I'm leaving this case study for you over here. There's a link. You can access this case study, read it at your own pace. I kind of went through it really fast, but you can read it at your own pace. And in the next video, we're going to dissect it further.